Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alpha Habib Bangura. I am originally from Sierra Leone, and I'm a final year student at the African Leadership University in Kigali, Rwanda, where I study global challenges with a major concentration in education and policy. I will tell you later on as we proceed with the webinar about my area of study and the idea behind the passion behind why I chose what I'm studying at African Leadership University, and how I hope to utilize this line of study to transform the African continent in working with the Agenda 2063 as set forward by the African Union. So I'm happy to be here with all of you to share my experience on youth activism in Sierra Leone, and also to learn from each and every one of you on the call today, and those that are viewing live from different parts of the world. This is a youth-led event, so feel free to share your concerns, comments, and also feel free to add your voices and valuable contributions to today's session as we look forward to learn from one another. So I have to give a little bit of background on youth activism in Sierra Leone. So before starting, I would love to give a disclaimer to say I am not like the savior of Sierra Leone in speaking about youth activism or the founder of youth activism in Sierra Leone, to be specific, but rather I am going to be sharing based on my years of engagement in the activism space at the front line and also at the backstage. So I do pay homage to a lot of young people in Sierra Leone and also those that have left the scene of active youth engagement who have taken bigger leadership roles in the country. So these are some people that have inspired me. A couple of them, we have Chernoba, who is the founder of the Children's Forum Network. So the Children's Forum Network is primarily like the children's parliament in Sierra Leone. So the role of the institution is to speak on behalf of children and young people. So initially, I started my journey as an advocate for young people through the Children's Forum Network way back in 2007. That was where the passion in me to work with young people and to work for young people, that was where the passion was born. And growing up, I watched leaders like Chernoba, David Moinina Senge, who's currently the Minister of Education and also the Chief Innovation Officer in the Office of the President at the Directorate of Science, Technology and Innovation, watching also people like Mr. Timothy Sam, who works with Plan International. These are people who inspired us whilst we were growing as young lads in Sierra Leone coming up. So basically, my first question that I'll be responding to in today's session is it reads, what are some of the issues affecting youth in Sierra Leone? So before responding to that question, I would love to give a bit of context for some of you who would be streaming this program live who might not even have heard of Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone is a beautiful country, the country of my birth. It's a beloved nation all the way in the west coast of West Africa. We are surrounded by in a kind of semicircular form by the Atlantic Ocean. So we are home to an amazing environment, and we do have two seasons, the wet seasons and the dry seasons. And we boast of amazing beaches. The culture back there, the people are very friendly. You would love Sierra Leone when you visit there because the geographical landscape is easy to adapt to. You have different places to visit. In terms of hospitality, it's one of the friendliest places in the world. Even though most people will speak highly positively about their countries as being friendly and all of that. But I speak from a place of experience because I have engaged with a lot of other people who are not Sierra Leoneans who have been to Sierra Leone, and getting the feedback from them, how they view Sierra Leoneans and how they view the country in itself in terms of hospitality, friendliness, and also willingness to collaborate with Sierra Leone. It's just been amazing, fantastic, and phenomenal. So that is where I am coming from. So to give some context about some of the challenges that young people, youth to be specific, are facing in the country. At the top of it all, we have two major issues currently that we are grappling with as a country in the youth development landscape. They go side by side because these are issues, if not addressed, they have the potential to really obliterate the progress of the nation and also incapacitate the potential of the youth in terms of contributing to the country's development and also holistically to the African dream that was preached forward by our forefathers like the late Dr. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Agostinho Neto, all of these people, the dream that they left behind. So these two issues, one of them is youth unemployment, and then the other is a rise of rape culture in Sierra Leone. So basically, I put the second one on the SGBV angle, sexual gender-based violence, that is taking the rise in the country. So the second is a very sensitive issue, of which I would say I am not a specialist in that area, but I am a very big sympathizer of a lot of women causes going on in the country, because growing up as a young lad and now turned to a man, I have always been surrounded by women who have contributed tremendously to my growth and to my leadership development. So I owe them that obligation and I owe them that dedication to work towards the aspiration and development of our women and girls, not only in Sierra Leone, but across the African continent and the world at large. So youth unemployment. There was a 2013 UNDP survey that was conducted in Sierra Leone, and it came out, and then it was also reaffirmed in 2017 that 1/3 of Sierra Leone's population is made up of young people under the age of 35. And these young people, 70% of that particular population of young people are unemployed. And these 70% are not only unemployed, but they lack the prerequisite skills that employers look for them to be able to easily transition into the professional development landscape to pursue different areas of their professional development and also their career interests. So this is one of the issues that has led to a lot of challenges that the country is facing. Of course, they say an empty bag cannot stand. It's an old proverb that we've used to in Sierra Leone. It simply means when something is empty, when you are not fed, you definitely cannot participate actively in the social space. So being fed there does not only surmount to food, but rather it also surmount to certain basic necessities that the state is supposed to provide. And also the citizens in the state are supposed to collaboratively work together to provide for one another for the furtherance and development of the nation. So unemployment is a young people are unemployed, they lack the skills to gain employment, and they also lack the skills to provide employment for themselves and for their fellow young people as well. And then another issue again that is that we are grappling with as a country, as young people, is teenage pregnancy. So this is an issue that we've had for over 40, 50 years. So teenage pregnancy is also backed by early marriage. So our young girls have been, their rights have been violated over a long period of time. And it's just quite recently that we have been making tremendous growth in terms of addressing these sexual gender-based violence issues. So currently we have the Office of the First Lady serving as the major advocacy arm for women and girls in Sierra Leone since the current government assumed power. Our First Lady, Her Excellency Madam Fatima Bio, has been very vocal, and not only vocal in terms of speaking up for the rights of women, children, and girls, as well as young people, but she has also been practical in terms of advocacy applications. So she started the Hands of Our Girls campaign, and this campaign has been supported by a series of other campaigns. For instance, we have the Black Tuesday campaign, which was started by a renowned journalist and media personality called Madam Asma James. So these are all movements that are working hand in glove to kind of ensure that there's a safe and brave space for our women and girls, wherein people, most especially the men who serve as perpetrators in violating the right of women and girls, are being brought to book and also are prosecuted, and that they face the full wrath of the law. So most recently, we've had the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, in line with the entire government of Sierra Leone, working with the Office of the First Lady and a host of other civil society activists, feminists, and also youth leaders and advocates in the country. They have been able to set up a court that is designed purely to try sexual gender-based violence cases. So before now, we've never had an arm of the justice system designed purely to facilitate and fast-track justice for victims of rape, victims of sexual harassment, victims of gender-based violence, and all of that. So that is one stride, one good area that the government of Sierra Leone and a host of other young people and civil society activists advocate. They have really done an amazing work in setting up that court. And as of 2 days ago, the court has tried its first case and sentenced a motorbike rider to 15 years in imprisonment. So that is kudos to the young people behind these strides being taken to make sure that our women and girls are fully represented and also supported, respected, and protected in the country. And then facing in the country is underrepresentation in governance and decision making. So over the years, we've had government coming in and going out. When it's time for political party rallies and all of that, to campaign, read their manifestos. Like every political leader in the country, they associate themselves with the young people. You would see somebody who's a political leader all the way 50 years. When addressing the youth, he or she would start to say, "We the youth." So we do not see that as an insult, but rather for us, it's a first affirmation to say that they really think about the youths. That one, I cannot lie, the politicians do think about the youths, but most importantly, they think about the youth when it's time for politics and when it's time to campaign, when they need the voices of the youth to cast their vote for them to get into office. So this is something that we've been grappling with over 20 years. The young people are really underrepresented in the governance and decision-making space in Sierra Leone as a country. So most recently, this current government, we've seen some initiatives that they've taken to put young people in to put young people into positions of leadership. The Minister of Education as a youth, the Minister of Youth Affairs as a young person as well. These are all people under the age of 35. And these are amazing strides being taken by our government to put young people into the decision-making spotlight. But that being said, it is not enough, because when we are looking at the youth development landscape and the youth engagement and participation landscape, we are not only expecting the government to say, okay, we're giving leadership, political leadership appointments to youths, but rather young people need to be with the government, working hand in glove in every step along the development process, to say, in developing policies for youth, young people have to be at the center of the development process. And also in implementing these policies, young people have to be at the center, not only implementing the policies, but also evaluating the impact, success and failure of these policies. Young people need to be at the forefront and also at the center of all of these development processes. So that is one area we have really not been represented in terms of the policy formulation, policy implementation, and policy assessment and impact assessment of different strides taken by government and its development partners. So my next question that I am to respond to is, are young people in Sierra Leone advocating for the issues that are affecting them? So like I would have to kind of elaborate on that and share with you some of the movements that we have in Sierra Leone that is made up of young people that are actively working on these issues. So basically, myself included, I would say that us, the young people, we have been speaking on a lot of issues that are affecting us. So there are 17 goals outlined in the Sustainable Development Goals, and the achievement of all of these goals cut across issues that are affecting young people, starting from poverty, going to hunger, and going to creating employment for people, healthy living, healthy lifestyles, going to quality, affordable education that is accessible to every person, regardless of age, race, gender, socioeconomic status, and all of that. These are all issues that are affecting people. So all of the challenges that we are facing, there are a lot. And the young people over the past 20, 30 years in Sierra Leone, they have been advocating for a lot of issues that are affecting them, from grassroots level, community level, to national level, and even by extension at the international level, because we've had a lot of Sierra Leonean youth going outside of Sierra Leone, representing the country at the international space. So young people have really taken a lot of strides in terms of speaking up about their rights, and also speaking on issues that are not only affecting them, but affecting the Sierra Leonean populace as a whole. So some of the institutions that we have that have been really breeding young people in terms of speaking up for themselves, and also really rebranding the story of Sierra Leonean youth, and also creating a sustainable transition pathway for others that are coming after them. These institutions work with children. Some of them work with young people. Some of them are specific. They work with women and girls, and so on and so forth. So firstly, I would kind of be biased to the first institution that I would reference would be the Children's Forum Network. It was started in 2004 by a group of actively engaged students, children who just came out of the civil war in Sierra Leone, and having felt the impact of the civil war. People lost properties, they lost lives, they lost family members, and all of that. And then we were at a crossroads around 2002, 2003, 2004, wherein we were having international support coming into the country, to lead the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, wherein the peace process would begin, and then Sierra Leone would take a U-turn to come to terms with all of its challenges, and also let bygones be bygones, and we kind of design a new development agenda. In the development process of setting up this Truth and Reconciliation Commission, young people were consulted and young people were involved. But the involvement came hugely because of the role that children and young and youths played in reiterating their stance to the government and stakeholders in Sierra Leone that we, the children, have been massively hurt and challenged and disadvantaged as a result of the 11-year civil war that we had. So a group of young people, a group of children, people like Timothy Sam that I mentioned earlier on, people like Chernoba, who is the founder of, who is a co-founder of Purposeful. I am going to talk about Purposeful later on. These young people came together and they started the Children's Forum Network. So they actually started by going around the country, traveling district to district, chiefdom to chiefdom, to ensure that at the community level and at the grassroots level, they really interview, collect a lot of information and data from children who have been affected by the war, and also those who have been used as child soldiers, to know the impact that that the civil war had on children in Sierra Leone. So this research and this stakeholder engagement and consultation that this youths at that time, these children at that time engaged in, it helped greatly in shaping the policies that are protecting and supporting children in Sierra Leone. For example, we have the Child Rights Act of 2007 and all of that. So these youth engagements have helped really in shaping policies and also bringing young people in the development process. So the Children's Forum Network is one of the oldest and most consistent institutions in Sierra Leone that groom leaders, that groom advocates and civil society activists for the country. So a lot of people have passed through the Children's Forum Network because they have different school clubs right across the country, and then they have a national body that coordinates all of this. So by virtue of your membership of this particular institution, once you leave the Children's Forum Network, you are forever a member of that particular institution. But it is designed for youths below the age of 18 and children that are actively in high school and also actively involved in terms of advocating for children's rights and all of the challenges that are facing children and young people in the country. So past members would have to come in to share, to give advice and share experiences on how to engage with stakeholders, on how to consult decision makers, and also how to pave a way for themselves to be involved in the development process and in the decision-making process. And then we also have another institution called CAN. It's called Kid Advocacy Network. We have a couple of them. So that is to tell you how diverse the activism and advocacy landscape in Sierra Leone is. We have over 300 institutions in Sierra Leone that are working on children's rights, working on youth and women's rights, the right of the girl child. There are a lot. There are a lot. And later on, I would have to also give my own view and my standpoint on some of the issues that I've been having with a lot of institutions when it comes to sustainability and guaranteeing their impact in the youth development and youth activism landscape. Yes, so we have Kids Advocacy Network. So most of these institutions advocating for the rights of children and young people, they are really out there. There's a high social media engagement. There's a high digital media engagement, ranging from going to radio programs to TV programs, changing the narrative to let other children know that they are not alone, their voices are heard, and there are people out there who are advocating for them. So these are one-stop institutions wherein if you as a child, you think you think that your right has been violated, you can reach out to the Children's Forum Network. You can reach out to the Ministry of Social Welfare. You can reach out to the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs, and then you can reach out to the Children's Commission set up by the government of Sierra Leone. So there are institutions that advocate for the right of children, that advocate for the right of youth. And then going now to mainstream civil society activism, we have institutions like the Renaissance Movement. So the Renaissance movement is one of the leading civil society movements in Sierra Leone right now. It is made up of young people who have made a name for themselves, who have served the country in different capacities through different institutions. It could be through non-governmental organizations. It could be through government agencies, ministries, and departments, or whatever, as long as they have been consistent and working tremendously on a lot of civil society issues, inequality issues in the country and in the development landscape in Sierra Leone. So the Renaissance movement have made a lot of strides in terms of advocating for young people and providing legal representation for young people. And then we also have Campaign for Good Governance. So Campaign for Good Governance is one of the most consistent institutions we have in Sierra Leone that is unbiased, that like they give objective analysis and also challenge government on key policy and leadership decision issues. So Campaign for Good Governance is one of the institutions when we are having political fracas, we're about to go to election day. This is one of the institutions that bring the political leaders to the public to help facilitate that dialogue, wherein young people would be able to engage with their leaders and also ask them clarifying questions and also critical questions about some of the promises that they made that they failed to deliver on, and also take a deep dive into the plans that they have to develop the youth landscape as well as the socioeconomic angle of the whole country. And then we have Rainbow Initiative. So the Rainbow Initiative is one of the one-stop centers that has been highly underfunded in the country, and they are doing amazing things in terms of working with different state actors to kind of provide a safe haven for victims of sexual assault and sexual gender-based violence in the country. So you might want to look them up on the internet. It's called the Rainbow Initiative Sierra Leone. So once you type that Rainbow, you spell the Rainbow, RAINBOW, Rainbow Initiative Sierra Leone, you will see their website and you will learn a lot from them. So the Rainbow Initiative is a safe haven for women and girls in Sierra Leone that are most often victims of sexual gender-based violence, and it's one of the most underfunded institutions. They are doing amazing things. And they have a lot of high impact stories, cases where young girls have been violated. And this is one of the institutions that has really done amazing things in terms of bringing out the loopholes in the governance system, in terms of policing sexual gender-based violence and also prosecuting these cases. So in the area of exploring that particular light, I must reiterate that as a man, it's something I would say it's prevalent in the Sierra Leonean society. Our country, our society is deeply rooted in the philosophy of patriarchy. So there is not a safe space wherein women associate themselves as direct equals to men, but rather we have a lot of avenues, and it is deep rooted into the culture and psyche of the Sierra Leone society, wherein men are as far superior to women. But that is something a lot of organizations, including myself, I do collaborate with a lot of young people at the backstage to make sure that we provide that avenue where young women and girls who see themselves as potential leaders and also potential collaborators to work with the men hand in glove to facilitate and foster development in the country. Added to Rainbow, we have Purposeful Production. So Purposeful Production is one of the leading hubs that train young people, especially women and girls. They also provide this safe haven, but it's directly in in the area of advocating for the rights of women and girls, and also providing that professional development and also mentorship and career and counseling for women and girls in Sierra Leone. So Purposeful is co-founded by one of the co-founders of the Children's Forum Network in 2004 as Mr. Chernamba. So this is an institution that also collaborates with a lot of other institutions that are working to facilitate the development and progress of young people in the country. Next, we have the Asma James Foundation. So the Asma James Foundation is also in the same field as the Rainbow Initiative, Purposeful Production. So these are all institutions that advocate for the right of women and girls. We also have CARL, Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. So CARL works in the same space with Campaign for Good Governance. So CARL, as the name sounds itself, Center for Accountability and the Rule of Law. So this is one of the institutions that work with young people, breed their, nurture their capacity to become vibrant civil society activists in the country, and they also provide that platform where young people would have the opportunity to question key policy decisions going on in the country and also hold leaders accountable. And we also have the Auradicals Foundation for Democracy and Human Rights, of which I am a strong. The Auradicals Foundation for Democracy and Human Rights is one of the oldest civil society institutions in Sierra Leone, started in 1973 in the University of Sierra Leone. So basically, right from 1973, it was started to fight the social injustice and inequality and oppression going on in Sierra Leone, not only for young people, but in the nation as a whole. So it's a kind of advocacy wherein they start developing young people directly from the university space, and also help them transition from the university space to the overall development landscape in the country, to speak up for the right of citizens of Sierra Leone, and to also speak up for the right of Africans in general. So I'm a proud member of the Auradicals Foundation for Democracy and Human Rights, and this is an institution that has produced a lot of leaders that have played a great role in the development of our country as a whole. So our current Minister of Youth is a member of this institution. Even the founder of the Children's Forum Network is a member of this institution. We have a host of other people. Our previous Attorney General and Minister of Justice is a member of this institution. So over the years, all of these institutions have been working in their different landscapes to all contribute to the youth development in Sierra Leone. Training young people to be conscious of their rights, training young people to speak up for themselves, and also to speak up for those that cannot speak up for themselves, so that we create an ecosystem wherein we the young people, the youth, would be able to talk to one another, relate with one another, and also stand in support with one another. Yes, I would also like to talk about some of my dissatisfaction going on in the youth development landscape. So for me, growing up, after leaving the Children's Forum Network, I also worked with a lot of other youth development organizations, youth centered organizations, like the Forum for Development of Young People, Young People in Action for Development, YOPAD, a lot of other institutions. So over the past 13 years, because I came into the advocacy space in 2007 when I joined the Children's Forum Network. So throughout this 13 years, one thing I realized that the development in Sierra Leone, the development of Sierra Leone from a young person's perspective, one of the major challenges we're having is that young people are not able to quantify and amplify their impact. So this issue that is disturbing Africa in terms of donor funding and donor support is one problem that is blinding the mindset of young people to think that because I have seen the next person has started an organization in that community, I can also start a community progressive association or community development organization, and then I can rally around politicians. They can give us money and all of that. We run projects and all of that. But I had that mentality when growing up, from the age of 12 upward. But when I gained maturity, moving beyond 19 in my early 20s, and all of that, I started getting a U-turn to think that like the development of young people should not only be focused around community-based organizations and grassroots organizations, but rather like we need that holistic collaboration between and among young people themselves. So it's like we don't have a very comprehensive system wherein the Ministry of Youth Affairs is able to track even the overall number, the total number of youth development programs that are in the country. We don't have that hub. We don't have that data. It's something that I can bet that if you go to the Ministry of Youth Affairs right now in my country, to say, let them show impact since the Civil War ended, 2001, 2002, when we started enjoying peace in the country. How many organizations have been formed that are youth-centered, that are youth-led, and what has been their impact? What are the mechanisms that the Ministry of Youth has to say an organization should operate? This is a threshold that you should meet when you have been given certification to operate. So because of the absence of these systems, these structures and processes, that is why any young person will get up one morning, and then the moment they understand that there is access to resources, they can just set up something, and then they start doing something, donating books, donating educational materials to children, taking people to say they're organizing this, they're organizing that. But rather, there is much more a greater need for us to start thinking about sustainability, not for today, not for our generation, but for 3 generations after us. We need to build institutions, because if we do not build institutions, and this I'm talking not only in the context of Sierra Leone right now, but if we do not build institutions that will stand the test of time, we will still be grappling with the same issues that young people are grappling with all over the African continent, and it will even be worse in Sierra Leone as a country, which I am coming from. Yeah, and to the next question about the next question asks to say, how is the political and economic representation of young people in Sierra Leone? This is something I have to be very unapologetic about. I would tell you for a fact that if you reach out to the government of Sierra Leone, a whole government of Sierra Leone, to let them give you raw data, statistics about the involvement of young people in strategic political and leadership positions in the country, you would realize that the young people are underrepresented. If you go to the House of Parliament, young people are underrepresented. Not only the young people, but women are underrepresented. Because when we're talking about young people, there's a lot of emotional outpouring. There's a lot of issues that are boiling out there, and even in exploring the target as young people, we also have marginalized groups that are really facing the pinch of poor consistent leadership, of visionary leadership. And these marginalized group, we have women there, we have people with disability there. So the economic landscape, yes, it is growing. That I can't deny the fact it is growing in Sierra Leone. Since the Ebola epidemic ended in Sierra Leone, a lot of strides has been taken by the previous government led by the former president Ernest Bai Koroma and his administration, and now onto this current government. A lot of strides are being taken to facilitate the development of young people, but that is not enough. that is not enough to really guarantee that the young people that we bring on board, to capacitate them, to help them, we would create a sustainability pathway to ensure that a robust system is set up that caters for over 80%, over 90% of the youth population in the country. And I'll tell you for a fact that a lot of the political representation that allows for young people to be actively involved in the leadership and decision making, most of these appointments are young people that are based in the urban areas. These are young people that are based in the urban areas. And to make matters worse, most of these political appointees that are youth are they only associate with the political party that is in power. So that avenue to say we have that single vision that all the young people in Sierra Leone rally behind, regardless of political party ideology, regardless of ethnic, tribal ideology, we don't have that common vision. We don't have that common vision. When it comes to leadership and decision making, our leaders, even the youths that are involved in the policy and decision making landscape, you will see them taking sides to party A, taking sides to party B, party X, party Y, and they associate with colors, they associate with regions, they associate with clans, tribes, and all of these are issues that are affecting the young people. So really the political landscape, the leadership landscape to help young people get into the aspect of embodying the philosophy of Ubuntu as proposed by the late Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. That drive, that platform is weak in Sierra Leone. That I cannot hide it from anybody. I can even challenge the government of Sierra Leone on that. So it's not only a Sierra Leonean problem, but it's also an African problem. Wherein how can we move past tribes? How can we move past clans? How can we move past chiefdoms? How can we move past political party affiliation and think unity? Because united we stand, divided we fall. So this is one issue. And then also about the economic emancipation of the young people and the economic involvement of young people, because I vividly remember the speech that the late Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah gave at the opening of the Organization of African Unity. He said, and I quote, "Africa would never be free if we only think of the political freedom without making the way forward for economic emancipation." So now we are at a crossroad where, yes, we think we are free politically, but where the money is coming from, donor support, that dependency is even affecting the young people. So a lot needs to be done, and our leaders in Sierra Leone, even the young people that are involved, that are actively in the leadership space, they also need to take the initiative and the ownership of this journey to ensure that we create systems and processes that would live beyond our generation, to cater for the next 3 generations that are coming after us. And then lastly, I have to talk about my vision for curriculum change and my passion for transforming the education system in Sierra Leone, and by extension, my work that I'll be leading with working with different institutions and consultancy firms across the African continent to bring a total revolution and reformation to the education landscape across the African continent. Let me share with you my screen so that you can take a look at something I have right now. Okay, so as you can see on my screen right now, earlier on when I was introducing myself, I made mention that I'm a final year student at the African Leadership University, where I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree in global challenges with a specific focus on education and policy. To give a little bit of context, I chose this particular degree because of my life experiences in Sierra Leone, and also the way I have engaged and interacted with a lot of people from across the African continent. So I am proud of my story, and I always say it wherever I go. At the age of 3, I was rejected and disowned by my father. So I was raised by a single parent, my mother, who is my biggest hero and who is the love of my life. At the age of 15, I became a school dropout. It's a story that it's my journey. I own up to it, and it's something that I'm trying to rectify, because the challenges I faced at that particular point in time during my teenage years, a lot of young people are going through it in Sierra Leone today, and even in most part of the world, and to be specific, most part of Africa. At the age of 18 and 19, I wrote the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. I wrote it twice at age 18 and 19. I failed woefully. I failed. Like, it's something there's not much to write home about that. And in my third attempt, I successfully passed and gained admission to university. So in putting all of these experiences together, my life is defined by 3 words: rejection, risk, responsibility. These are the 3 key words that define my life and my journey as a leader. So being rejected at age 3, dropping out of school at age 15, failing the national exams twice at age 18 and 19, and making it to university in my 3rd attempt. So I said to myself when I got to university, when I got admission in 2014 and finally enrolled after the Ebola epidemic in 2015, I said to myself, I need to do a root cause analysis of my journey and all of the challenges that I've faced, to kind of understand how I can really play a part in the development of Sierra Leone and in the development of the youth landscape in my country, and by extension, the African continent. So I started investigating these root causes. So I kind of realized that I dropped out of school and I failed because of the absence of this relationship. As you can see on the screen, I am of the firm belief in the philosophy that every young person can only succeed in life when there is a stronger and more robust and supportive, encouraging system around them. And that system is built on the triangular relationship principle that brings together parents or guardians, the students or youth themselves, and educators. So I started asking myself, how can we bring parents or guardians and educators together so that they work as mentors, as coaches, as counselors to children, to youths, and provide that safe space, that brave space for them, wherein what they learn in school, when they come home, it is being reiterated and emphasized to them, so that everything would drive back home safely. And then these young people would be able to embody all the good values that they're learning from school. But over the years in the Sierra Leonean society, we have had a very big disconnect. What the teachers are teaching in the schools is different from what the parents are enforcing and re-emphasizing in the homes. So you would realize that a lot of young people growing up in Sierra Leone, they had limited time to study. They are overwhelmed by house chores. There is no good time management for the parents to say, this is how you should manage your time, to say you should study 3 to 5 hours every day. We are giving you that safe space for you to study. Nothing should you be doing except studying, going over your schoolwork, and also making sure that we see you really embody what you are learning in school, like you are applying it in your daily life. that relationship is missing in Sierra Leone. And that relationship, because it was missing, that was what led to me dropping out of school. I did not want to base it only on my experience, so I had to go out into the field to start my research. So when I came to the African Leadership University with my story, my faculty, the Global Challenges faculty, made up of amazing people who have worked in different fields and sectors across the world. They sat me down, counseled me, mentored me to say, Alpha, we understand your problem, we understand your experience with it, but what you are trying to solve is not your problem, but is the problem not only of Sierra Leone, but of the African continent. So it needs to be backed by research. So since 2017, I have been researching to understand the youth development landscape, the challenges that are there. So that was how I was able to define this triangular relationship to say, this is what is missing. So because this relationship is broken, is weak in Sierra Leone and in most part of the world and the African continent, you see that peer pressure comes in, as you can see in the triangle. Peer pressure comes in, talent suppression comes in, peer pressure comes in. The young people would have a carefree mindset, character, laziness, poor performance in school, blame game, all of these come in. The failure label, the dropout tendency, all of this increase. They go on and on and on and on and on. So with all of this, through the support of the African Leadership University, I was able to define my mission. And through my Global Challenges program, this is how I defined my mission, my Global Challenges mission. So my mission is to train and positively impact 200,000 African youths by 2050 through education, mentorship, career development, counseling, research, and skills development programs. So to give a little bit of context, allow me to read what is on this profile so you get an understanding of how I came to this mission and why I chose this mission. So my life's mission is born out of the challenges I have lived as an underserved youth from one of the world's poorest countries, Sierra Leone. I have learned how to fail and turn rejection into strength to achieve my goals. Most importantly, I discovered my passion for education and youth skills development between 2013 and 2017 while working with the Visao Foundation as peer leader and programs trainee. So the Visao Foundation is a charity organization established in the US, but their main focus of operation is in Sierra Leone. So I am a product of the Visao Foundation. After leaving as a beneficiary, I came back to work with them. So in my years of service to the Visao Foundation, I mentored 75 students in and out of the organization. Some of my mentees gained admission to the African Leadership Academy in South Africa, Ashesi University in Ghana, and the African Leadership University where I currently study. I also conducted research and needs assessment surveys across 17 schools in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to determine which schools need technical educational support in the form of learning materials and scholarships. From that research I conducted with the Visao Foundation, coupled with my experience in mentoring young people in Sierra Leone, I realized that learning materials and financial support are not the only things needed to empower young people to take ownership of their growth and navigate through the challenge of life. With this knowledge, I came to the conclusion that if I want to make impact in the education sector, I will have to narrow my approach to 4 key areas, namely education policy and leadership, curriculum design, learning environment design, and skills development. These 4 areas define the scope of my mission as a Pan-African problem solver and an education enthusiast. As you see the scope of my mission, education policy, I strongly believe that education policy formulation and implementation are key to fostering sectoral sustainable development. In this mission scope, I seek to work with government, grassroots, and civil society organizations, as well as international development partners, to implement policies and programs that facilitate the leadership development of educators. My institution that I will be graduating with, my capstone project, called Sustainable Education Africa. It will be launched in March 2021 in Sierra Leone with a vision to scale across the African continent. We will serve as a consultancy hub to train teachers and administrators in quality service delivery, socio-emotional learning, and talent development. The next aspect is curriculum design. As we approach the fourth industrial revolution, the future of education requires that we design a transition pathway for the next generation of leaders that will transform their communities. So through this, my project, I seek to contribute to the field of education by designing purpose and leadership-based curricula that aligns with the development agenda of countries to prepare their youth population for the future of work. No matter how we improve education across the African continent, if the education being delivered and offered in that country is not in line with the development priorities of that country, we will not have sustainable development. So the education has to be offered in a way that it guarantees and certifies that these youth, these children that are being trained, they are being groomed to come and contribute to the development of their country and to also contribute to the holistic achievement of the African Union's Agenda 2063. And then the third aspect is learning environment design. I firmly believe that human cognitive development and social evolution is dependent on the sociological element of the environment. Children and youth, we learn from what we see, what we feel, and what we relate to. So in response to this reality, my mission allows me to work with development actors to design and build conducive learning environment for students. These environments will serve as brave spaces where young people will not be judged or underserved, but their untapped potentials will be unleashed. And then the fourth aspect, the fourth scope of my mission is skills development. At the center of it all, skills development. We need education administrators to be able to help young people to nurture their skills. And we need learning spaces and curricula that enforce and impart skills into young people through the curricula and through the different areas of social engagement. So as the world is changing from merely exhibiting theoretical knowledge of concepts and situations to the practical application of skills in solving problems from local levels to international platforms, we are seeking to transform the education sector in Sierra Leone and other parts of Africa and other parts of the African continent by developing the innate capacity of young people with 21st century leadership and critical thinking skills. So this is my mission for transforming education and curriculum development in the African continent, starting with Sierra Leone. This is how I want to be remembered, as the dropout who helped in shaping the education landscape in Sierra Leone and also tremendously contributed to boosting education and leading education policy reformation across the African continent. So I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and the platform to share my story and to also give insight and context into how young people are taking the lead and ownership to redefine their stories and also reimagine their narratives. So if you want to know more about the strides that young people are taking, I saved the best for last. There is a movement in Sierra Leone called Salone Messengers, S-A-L-O-N-E. Salone is a shorter version in our local language for Sierra Leone. Salone Messengers. Just type it in Google, Salone Messengers. This is a platform that is led by young people that tells you amazing stories of the strides that young people are taking to develop Sierra Leone. So most recently, they launched a series called If I Become President. So If I Become President is a space, is a writer's blog hosted by Salone Messengers, where young people will share their development views that they have for the country. So we hope that by the next election, our political leaders will learn from the insight that young people have to develop the country. So by picking into the development ideas of these young people that are sharing their wishes, their visions and ambitions for the country if they become president. So thank you very much for hosting me, Africa Matters Initiative. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, from all over the world, wherever you're tuning from, to listen to my voice today and to also align yourself with my struggles, my challenges, and by extension, the challenges that young people are facing in the African continent, in Sierra Leone, and the world at large. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am very grateful. To all of you out there, I say keep the fire burning, don't give up. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But as our forefathers used to shout the battle cry, I say to you, Amandla awetu. Amandla awetu. Aluta continua, people. Victoria Aseta. The struggle continues. The victory is sure to come at the end of the day because the end justifies the means. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share my story. I remain humble and I remain faithful to the development of the African continent. I am Alpha Habib Bangura, a student from the African Leadership University and originally from Sierra Leone. Thank you and God bless you.